Hello, listeners, and welcome to Beyond the Mirror. This isn't just another podcast, it's a deep dive into the world of beauty, wellness, and longevity. Now, we're here to discuss what beauty really means beyond just appearances. We'll also talk about wellness, the habits and practices that keep us healthy, full of energy, and we'll explore the topic of longevity, looking at the science and realities of living a long, fulfilling life. So sit back, relax, and join us as we go beyond the mirror.
Welcome, listeners. We are back today with some special guests. We are so excited to have you here. And today we're going to be talking about some spirituality and how to really tap into the divine. And I'm here with two special guests, Nikki and Indigo. Welcome. And Jennifer. So we're super excited to dive into this amazing topic. So, Nikki, I have worked with you before, and it has been so enlightening, and you have too, Jennifer. And so I kind of describe what you do as basically utilizing your divine gifting to tap into the spiritual realm to enlighten someone's journey on maybe answering questions or devising and helping them promote a path forward as far as like how they are, what their purpose is in life, right? Is that a good explanation? I know there's so much more to it.
That's basically what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, and that we're going to deep dive. And then Indigo, what you do is you tap into when she is channeling, and you then help to promote and coach during the process, right? So you have this gift of what we call co-creation.
Yes, we're collaborating right now.
Yes.
Joining forces.
Yes. And it's so amazing. So tell me a little bit more about how you, number one, how you got this gift.
Okay.
And then we'll dive into your partnership.
Okay. So I was basically born with the gift. And the way that I realized it was online for me when I was little was I was able to hear thoughts and patterns of people around me or other entities around me. And I just started like interacting with those. I didn't know if it was my own voice. I didn't know if it was something else happening. And so I just started interacting with those voices and interacting with the information that was coming to me, and just kind of developing an intuitive life on my own. Yeah, that's the best way that I can describe it.
You were open to the messaging, basically.
Yes.
But it took you a minute, of course, because when you're young, you're completely clueless as to what's happening. But then you're like, hey, there's something here. How old were you when you really were like self-aware enough to?
Probably 8.
Wow, so pretty young.
Around the age of 8. I spent a lot of time on my own and I mostly remember being able to hear voices in my house. That's how it started for me, like hearing other voices other than my own in my house. And then I remember being outside and playing a lot and feeling different energies around me. You know, like if I was in the trees, I could feel energy there. If I was, playing, I could feel something playing with me. And then when I got older, I could really feel like this protection around me. I mean, I felt very divinely protected life, not being led down bad paths, not being led to bad people. Like, I don't even know. I can't even describe that, but it was kind of a miracle. Just
for a young person.
Stay away from this. This isn't good for you.
Well, and I would liken it. It's not the same, but there are a lot of people that I always say are sensitive to even just other humans' energy. Like my son and I were actually just talking about this recently, how he and I are just very perceptive to the mood of the person.
Yeah, like empathic.
That's very hypersensitive. I feel it also. So empathetic. But now you're taking that to the next level outside of humanity, basic humanities.
And I like how, like, in the Bible, that's described as blessings and favor, right?
Uh-huh.
Like that protection, that divineness,
Yes.
and that protection, so
Yeah.
I love that you have that. It's amazing.
I couldn't understand that as a young person, but I did always feel very protected. So, for example, if I wanted to climb a tree, I would hear, "Don't climb the tree." I'd be like, "Okay." And it was a very strong
But
thing.
you actually listened.
Yes.
See,
well, because it was out, I at that point knew that something was like guiding me.
Mhm.
So I just was listening to that guidance. And I feel that way today too, still. I mean, I can hear it strongly.
So how then do you parlay that to another person? And like, what are you perceiving or hearing or receiving when you're working with another person?
Okay, so when someone asks me to do a reading for them, I ask permission to get into their field, and then I can access their energy field. And the way many people do it many different ways, but the way that I do it is I am able to go above people's heads, and I'm able to access this grid of light that's above everybody, and then I'm able to pinpoint a piece of light, and then that light starts talking to me, and that light has something to do directly with the experience that's happening, like right now, in your life.
Right.
And then that light then informs the person and their path, and then they are led down that path.
I definitely found it interesting because when I was working with you, we did every session over the phone, and I was like, how? Like, how is this working over the phone? It seems like that should be something where you're present with somebody to do, but you're able then to do it even virtually,
like in their field.
And so how do you explain how that works as well as being in person? Like, you know?
Let me get quiet and answer that. I'm just going to actually access
Okay.
the energy. Let me just get quiet. So for people watching, I'm actually going to access my channel and answer that question that Jennifer's asking me. So the basic answer that they're giving me is that really everything is energy, like everything. So it doesn't matter if you're in front of someone or if you're 100 miles away from them. Like their energy is like a field.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have anything you want to add to that?
I mean, I just think that it kind of points to the discussion of the quantum.
Mm-hmm.
Like in quantum practitioners are working a lot of times over the phone, even like if they're just working with someone's health even. And so it really is like kind of shifting your mindset to really understanding that like energy is everywhere. I mean, it's a complete reframe of how reality works.
And it's connected. It's
we've been studying recently a lot about the body just being a big battery.
Yeah, it's just an energy field.
It's just a big battery.
So for example, if I do work with you on the phone. I do work with Dina on the phone. It's like when I am accessing your energy field, like I'm just seeing your field and even your body, even though you are walking around here, I can just see it.
Well, and it's like the difference between physical and spiritual too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're distinctly different.
Yeah, they are.
Which is awesome.
So I had originally hesitations and fears when you and I first started talking because I am very God, spiritual oriented. And I had fears because I feel like there's a lot darkness that can be done with that. Not that you had the darkness, but that people can. And so before I came on to work with you, I felt like I had to do a lot of like internal investigation of like, does this feel like it's good? Does this feel like it's right? And all that. Never ever questioning, like you and I have always had, I mean, we've been together forever as friends, and never questioning your intent or who you are. But then I had to investigate that. So do you think there are other people doing what you're doing that aren't having the best intentions for people, or do you think that doesn't happen?
I think that that's a fair question, and I think I'll just speak to humanity and nature. Like there are good people and there are bad people.
The bad people could have the gift still.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And I think it's important for anyone listening or anyone to be able to tap into their own innate wisdom and decide if what is being said or where you're being led is in alignment with you and feels divine truth for you. Like I just think that you'd have to look at that whole situation as you look at humanity itself and people and discriminating. Like for me, for example, I only allow people to work on my energy who are of the highest caliber, who have studied and trained, who've who have dove into their psychology and their biology, and they distinctly know themselves versus the person they're reading for. So for me, I don't let anyone cross my energy line unless it's
and I'm the same way.
A high caliber person.
And I like to say you have to know it by its fruit. So when you look at like what you're doing, you tap into the root of your fruit because it will manifest. The fruit always comes out good or bad. You know what I mean? So you have to know the intention by the fruit. And that's just a biblical thing. So it's a great question. And I know there's a lot of people will be thinking about that are listening.
That was my initial reaction as someone who loved and adored and trusted her completely.
Yes, exactly.
So, right. So now if you now look at generically just people out in the universe that may have the same gift. Yeah. Like, how do you investigate? Like, how do you find that quality human? And I do think your observation about just, is this leading me on the right track or not?
Yeah. And do you feel it like in your body and the intention? Like, so I've done a fair amount of energy work in my life. I can speak to that as just a human being. But Indigo, do you want to speak to it? Because this is our world. We're around a lot of these people and we interact with them and see them out in the world as we're doing our business.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a spectrum. I mean, just like anybody that's doing inner work, it's a spectrum when you're a practitioner too. And so one of the ways that I think you can begin to discern if you're like at the beginning of trying to figure out who you should work with is to like see how they live. Like the embodiment of their work, I think, is a clear sign. So it's like that's one way to be able to figure out just up front. But yeah, it really, I mean, I agree with you. It's like if you got to listen and see if it truly resonates, because you can really tell whether something feels off. And it's like being willing to act on that feeling and to not override it. Because I've seen in plant medicine circles, for example, people are like, well, I went all the way here, and then they might feel that feeling of off, but then they do it anyway. And it's like really saying, if I feel off, it's like investigating it enough and not just overriding those feelings. It's like beginning to listen deeper.
I love that you said that. I call that the knowing. There's that intuitive piece inside you that just says you either hesitate moving forward or you're like, yes, you know?
Yeah, one of my favorite phrases is when in doubt, don't. That's one that I taught my kids very early on.
Yeah,
when in doubt, don't.
And I'm glad you investigated that. And I think that's a good message for your listeners. Like you should. That is what you should.
Well, you could even be with a really high quality person and it's not a match for you. Also,
that's true.
So you could be with a great person and you're having that internal sense that this doesn't feel exactly right. And then you can maybe go, okay, maybe this is a stopping point here, or maybe I need to find somebody else. And then you're doing more with like, here's the information. Now, how do you, because I did a lot with you and that was my hurdle, was now how do I act upon it?
Yes.
And so the concept of now having someone guide the steps, is that what I'm grasping?
So we weave in a couple different ways. I am kind of like what you would call like an esoteric translator, in the sense of like, I can listen to her channel and then like I'm there with her and I know what's going on, but then I also can help people through some of the like deeper like integration and embodiment work and like the descent piece, because they go hand in hand. It's like when we go to ascend, we also have to descend. It's like the yin yang. And so it's like, I'm like, my specialty is like going into the messiness, into it, and doing all the reframing in there.
Yeah. Is that what you call the shadow work?
Yeah, shadow work.
So explain that a little bit.
Do you want to explain the shadow?
Yes. So I like to explain the shadow as anything that you can't see.
Okay.
And I mean, so, and it could be like the things you don't want to look at about yourself sometimes. But a lot of times it's what you can't see, because people are expressing, as a coach, like they're expressing their shadow to us. Like they don't know it's the shadow. And so as a coach, you like can lovingly like begin to illuminate their shadow for them in a very non-judgmental way, in which they can actually look at it and like go, oh, okay. And then like from there, I can help them transmute that. So then they're moving that into the light.
Gotcha.
Yeah. One of the really, I think, interesting elements to Indigo and I coming together is she invited me to be part of her sessions. Like, I want you to be part of this. I want to hear what you would say to them, and then I want to guide them, because it's really the quickest way. It's the quickest way to your fruit.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
To go on your So her and I started doing that, and we were finding that it was working really, really well. And the other thing for me is I don't then have to break my channel, because I'm also a coach. So then I'm going from channeling to coaching.
Right. Yes.
Back and
So
forth.
when we were working together, like you would give me some things and guidance and such, and I'm terrible. I never wrote anything down, because generally when like I'm crazy, I'll take a laser class and I'll know how to do the laser. Like, so generally I get the information and it's like filed away and I do it. But I found with this work, that was harder. That was harder to retain, to take action, and to find my path.
The way that ideally it would work is that the information comes through and then your life does the rest.
Yes.
You don't have to take notes at all.
You would say things to me like, there's a yellow candle on my desk because you need this color in your universe. And so you would give me specific tasks. And then every once in a while, I think I even texted you one time. You said something like this, but was it this? And I don't even remember the details of it, but both you and I were like, oh, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember.
Oh,
you know, and then I'm like, darn it.
Sometimes the info goes.
I should have written that down.
Yeah.
I take copious amounts of notes and I go back and reread them.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love, I've only been working with you for the last few weeks, but already I am seeing such amazing fruit from it. Like, I got invited to this wonderful, only 20 entrepreneurs got invited to this thing that I went to last week. It was like sitting at the table with Tony Robbins level. It was so phenomenal. And just the amount of ball rolling that I'm getting is so profound.
Yeah.
Profound. Like, I'm mind blown. And I was even just talking to a friend earlier today, and I'm just like, I'm like vibrating so high, I cannot even stand myself. You know,
It's true.
It's that level. And I so love it.
Yeah. And I think when you're gathering information from up there, to speak to what Jennifer's saying, it is very high vibrational, and it does require integration from there to here, which is something Indigo is doing very well for our relationship and the relationship of our clients. She's able to take that. When she says she's an esoteric translator, she's able to translate those frequencies and that vibration of energy, and is able to bring it way down into the body.
Yeah,
so that's
we want it physically manifest.
Yes.
Yeah, which is key. Tell me a little bit about one of your most favorite clients that you've worked with together.
I would say, so the thing that's why it's just wild every time is when someone has a pretty significant, like you can call it a death rebirth, and then it's just a huge change. They've like decomposed a certain amount of patterns or programming inside themselves, which then reveals more of their authentic self. And when that emerges enough, it's like you meet the person again for the first time. Mm-hmm. And as coaches, we have to integrate that, mm-hmm. like the transformation in the client. And it's like we're re-meeting them at a different space. Mm-hmm. And so we coach them differently at that point. And that can happen more than once in a container. Mm-hmm. And we've had it happen, like, I think at least 3 times with one client of ours. Wow. And it's so fun when they're like, I had to reintroduce myself to my husband or my family. When someone starts to use that language, you know they've had a significant, rebirth, a huge shift. And so I would say that's probably my favorite really when that happens. You can see it on their face will shift sometimes. Yes. Mm-hmm. The tone of their voice will deepen. Their body will move differently. Mm-hmm.
Well, and it's interesting. I think the craziest thing going on in the world today I don't do what you guys do, but I listen to people all day. Yes. They're laying on my bed. It's quiet. There's no distractions. I'm sure you get a lot of confessions and discussion too. Mm-hmm. And I have seen the biggest shift. People are shifting. That is what's happening right now. Mm-hmm. Humans are trying to find the self that they want to be. Yes. And it's happening across age groups, across financial well-being. It doesn't matter what category of person I'm talking to these days. The predominant line is they're seeking something better than what they are right now.
Mm-hmm. Seeking a more true version of themselves.
Yes, I think as a world, we're moving into that.
We are.
Which is amazing if we can make that happen.
Which is why we birthed our company, is to take people through that process. That can be a guided process instead of you trying to figure it out on your own.
It's
obviously
so
you
hard.
Can, but it's more challenging and it's a more difficult road. So this is just a more direct path.
Well, I think too,
direct from your soul.
We have a lot of things that are in our blind spots, and you bring them to the forefront to be addressed, which is really cool, which is a faster way to deal with things than keeping them in the blind spots.
There's just noise everywhere, right? Even in your own mind.
Yes.
That's distracting you from being able to, if I said how many times I say the prayer, can you just tell me what I'm supposed to do, God? Hey, God.
Yeah.
Can you just tell me what I'm supposed to do right now? That's kind of what you're doing.
Yes. Yes.
I'm always searching for language to use. And I've used the language soul mapping because it's because we can see when someone talks to us, not only from the energy field, but just on multiple levels, we can see where they're at. Yeah. In almost like a map. There's a lot of categories to it. And so you could have 5 overlapping major things happening. And that's when you're what's even happening in my life, right? Yeah. And you have all that. And it's you're layering in the nervous system work, the shadow work, the inner child, the what's happening in your physical reality. And then there's the energy. And so when we can see all of that, then it's I'm able to orient you. And people we teach you how to orient yourself. So over time, all the teaching is so that you can see clearer your own self the whole time.
So how did you end up in this line of work? What did you used to do before and how did you get here?
Yeah, for about 15 to 20 years, I was a creative director in the advertising world. So I was mentoring and leading creatives. So I had a lot of my past career actually has come over into what I do now. But I would say for me, I didn't have a gift come online when I was a child. So it's been a really steady process over a really long period of time. And then many years ago, I chose to go down the plant medicines path. And for me, that was the biggest. It felt like I was opening little doors and then it just was a huge door. It all opened. And
when you say plant medicines, what are you talking about?
Yeah, so both psilocybin and ayahuasca, both have been part of my journey. And it speeds it up. It speeds the process.
It's so crazy too. So I've followed that just absolutely forever. I find the data on it is so good. It's so sad that it was taken away at a time when it was starting to truly be being figured out long time ago.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we're making that shift. Now, I should say, I definitely know there are times and places that this is not good for people. I know there are people that shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Experimenting in your home on your own is not necessarily the best
idea.
It's not the best choice. But yeah, the data is phenomenal. If people look into it, it can be life-changing, obviously.
Yeah, the research, clinical trials, like that data is beautiful. And there's countries that have beautiful retreat facilities where it's legal and you can go and like experience amazing medicine people and practitioners. So it's definitely accessible.
Yeah.
No,
we have a client that I think she's leaving right now for something, and she is so excited to go through that process.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I would be a little terrified. There's like a part of me that doesn't want to know all that. And I'm sure you guys see that even in what you're doing. Like, it's like, oh no, la la la, I don't want to hear what you're saying right now.
I think there's a time and a place, because if you'd asked me probably 2 years ago, I would have been the same. But now I'm like,
you have to be
and
ready.
I'm not and I've never done anything like that. So I was like, we've talked about it, and you both just did a retreat.
Yeah, we did.
And how was that? Like,
Great.
you did have a little bit of that there, and offered quite a few other things too, right?
Yeah, we covered mysticism, shamanism, and tantra in the retreat.
Yeah.
So it was 3 big topics.
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of transformation.
Lots of transformation. It was really the most beautiful thing to watch.
Wow.
The people when they came, and then the people when they left.
Yeah.
They literally left completely different.
How long is a
Transformed.
typical retreat in those scenarios?
4 days.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And are we using talk and technique and guidance and all that? Every day is different.
And healing.
Okay.
Healing work, like hands-on healing work.
Okay.
Yeah. Every day is different. So basically what we're teaching is the Holy Trinity, which is starting in the celestial and with your soul story that you're wanting to experience for the year. So you basically have your year set energetically. And then we talk about that. Well, actually all of that information starts before the retreat. So you get that report and you get all that information and you start orienting to that, your soul story for the year. And then you come to the retreat, you actually have a talk on mysticism. Like, how do you start listening to that? How do you start orienting to that? And then the second day is about shamanism and your planetary self, like everything that happens between here and here, like integrating and embodying and alchemy. And like, so when you are experiencing something in your life, what do you do with it? Like, how do you actually transform it?
Because that's the hardest part, I think.
We talk a lot about, like in our world, people talk a lot about transformation, but they don't teach you how to transform.
Yeah.
So one of the missions that Indigo and I are on is actually to teach people how to actually do the stuff, the buzzwords that you guys keep hearing, like alchemy. What the hell is alchemy? Like, how do you do it? Like, what does it even mean? What does transformation mean? What does embodiment mean? Like, so that second day and third day are all about that. Like, what is all of that? How do you actually do it all?
Yeah.
And then the third day is yourself, like your inner child, your moving energy through your body. Like, how do you actually deal with yourself, in the world? So yeah, it was just a beautiful experience taking them through that, from all the parts of you, your soul parts all the way down.
I would love to know because you are both giving of yourself a lot. I also spend a lot of time giving of myself. It's different than the way you guys do. But it taxes me And so how do you keep yourself like centered in a place where you're giving away all the time? I'd love to hear that from both of you.
Yeah.
So, well, it's actually a practice of embodiment. And so energy hygiene is like, it's very holistic. It's actually your own inner work, which is part of it too, which is like the more aware you are of where you are and someone else begins and how you operate in the world, the easier it is to hold space and energy for other people. And so, but that's like one aspect to it. I mean, it's like, so there's so many different like categories of it. Another one is, when you are actually holding space, there are technical details to holding space and how you open your channel. Like there's procedures that each person individually is going to create so that you can go through your own ritual so that you are keeping as clean of energy as possible.
Sure. But then keeping yourself healthy too is what I mean. Like, how do you keep yourself spiritually healthy? What do you do for yourself?
I mean, I would say that I feel connected to my spirituality every second of my day. So it's not something I feel like I go in and out of.
Okay.
It's like I live like this all the time.
You're constantly like tapped in.
Okay.
I'm just, the way I interact with the world is in that space. And so, so in that way, it's like the rhythms and cycles of my life are set up to support how I operate.
How about you?
I think mine's a little bit different. Like I definitely have like the power of God moving through me at all times. Like, and I think people who are really spiritual do have that, you know, they're just, it's a stream that runs through them, so that in and of itself provides you with what you need.
Okay.
It's a recharge.
Yeah. Like I call it the liquid light. That's what I call it.
Yeah.
It's like your connection. It's fortifying you.
Right.
So I think that's a really important piece. Also, from the spiritual realm, I do use a lot of protection techniques, like protect me. I use shields around my energy field, so I'm not, because I'm like a walking tuning fork. So like, I really have to watch what I'm doing. Like I have to really stay in my own space if I'm not reading energy for people. Physically, I wear a hat. Like if I literally don't want to access anything, I put a hat on. I just close my crown completely. I know that's, silly, but that's what happens. And, and then I spend, like, I can start feeling myself wearing down. So then I will just be like, I can't do this today. I have to work.
That's my battle. Like, I will like take it in, nurture, go home to my family, nurture, and then I'm burnt. And then I'm burnt and I don't seem to know when to say, stop it.
Just so I think like how Indigo was saying, being constantly filling so that you're not
empty.
Let me use all the gas in the car and then just like try and drive on empty, kind of a deal.
And I think that's a practice, Jennifer, because it's the stream of God that is fortifying you.
I can feel that sometimes, so I know what you're talking about.
So like,
it's very
be in that stream. Like
it's been very present for me, and then there's times I'm like, where is it? I've lost it.
Yeah. So like for me in the morning before I start my day, I usually get up an hour before I have to start my day, and I'm in a prayer practice, like asking.
So I've been my newest, and we just did a podcast about it. I've been protecting my mornings, and I am outside with nature as long as I can be out, and I'm actually studying scripture at the same time. So that has definitely helped. Just having and guarding and protecting that. Like when someone wanted to schedule a meeting with us at 9:00 in the morning, I'm like, no. I am protecting. I have to protect this for my own sanity. Whatever.
So it is a devotional practice to fill your own.
Yeah.
And yeah.
There was one thing, like, so when you were saying like defining what nurturing is, and for you, that would be like an important piece. And then when you're like giving energy like to other people, so if you think about it, like I'm giving my channel, like I'm in my higher self, like channel my human self, like I'm not opening my emotional body fully and then giving my human emotions and like going back and forth with them or trying to solve somebody else's
That's what I'm doing
problems.
all the time.
So if I'm giving advice, like, then I'm actually, you can feel how your energy is exchanging. And
she taught me last year when we were working together that I was like very in touch with my feminine self and I needed to get in more of my masculine, like more like, okay, draw that line and separate that moment kind of. And that definitely has helped. It's helped. But I know a lot of people, like in our industry, that is a very common, like it's the same with hairdressers.
I was just going to say hair designers.
Like we all just like, we're drawn to being in that environment.
The service, like drawing that line.
Sure.
Service versus, okay, I'm tapped.
But I want to do that too. Yeah. Like that's actually fulfilling for me as well. Like, it's
but I think there's probably, I think what Indigo is speaking to is accessing more of your higher self to be the admin of your day, not your physical presence, but like your higher self presence to like admin your day, like,
So that leads me to my question, probably my last question, which is, how do you recommend people, if there's one tip you could each give to people out there that aren't maybe ready, like you were just saying, to go down this path that could help them? Do you have like one piece of advice that I know it's so universal, but there might be something.
I think for the advice I would give someone is if they are awakening or curious, to actually follow that curiosity. Because I think sometimes we stop ourselves from taking that next step, Like one of the things in our practice that we really religiously have to tell people is that this is a world that exists. Like this is real stuff. You can gain information and knowledge from this. So I think if it's coming through to you that there might be something else that you're seeking or wanting understanding for, to go ahead and take that step. Like even if it's just a book or a deck of cards or learning about angels or the Bible or
whatever's calling you.
Yeah, whatever it is, like actually do it. Take the step and do it.
I think for me, it would be about media. So I would really meticulously weed out any entertaining and media that's heavily programmed, and really orient yourself towards more like somatic practitioners and people in the spiritual space. And if you start ingesting that information and not the TV shows and the other things, you'll start to gain knowledge, and then it'll start to just shift some of your awarenesses. And that's one way you can enter the world, because the more you're looking at the outside world, the more it's really noisy and it's really fuzzy and it's hard to even pursue your inner knowing. And so tuning out media would be something.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So how can people find information and like on you guys or connect with you guys if that's something that they felt drawn to doing? Like, do you have a way?
We do. Yes. Could we put it in like the show? Do you have show?
Oh yeah, we'll put it
okay.
in the show.
Yeah, we can give you all
But
the
if you can go ahead
information
and speak it also, that would be great.
We are about to launch.
Okay.
So
We're on Instagram.
we are. Yeah, we're on New Earth _illumination on Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So then, so you're launching a website or something different?
Yeah, we have our individual coaching websites, and then we're creating a dual coaching website right now.
Yeah. Another question. How expensive is it to do what you guys are doing? I know that's tough.
I don't know how to answer. How do you want to answer that? I do. It is. It's not a cheap process. Because you will be transforming and you will be living the life that you want to live. So like we are literally transforming. So yeah, and it takes time. It takes time. It takes energy. It takes commitment. It takes discipline. It takes courage. And we're walking along that path with you.
Will you have information about that when your joint site is up, or is it like more customized to the person that's coming to you?
Well, we definitely need to talk to someone and understand what they're wanting and needing, and having that dialogue with them.
Are there people that you can't take sometimes because it's not a match?
Yes. This is a program for people who are really wanting to experience that. You know, they're really wanting to experience transformation.
So to be ready, kind of on the precipice.
Yeah, and our containers in general like go in 3-month increments. So in the difference between like therapy and our container is like a therapist is like sometimes once a week for an hour, and you're like, bye therapist, I'll see you in 7 days. For us, it's like we do about hour and a half sessions like once a week, but we're also doing text and audio. So we're connecting like every day. And so I liken it to being like we're hopping in a canoe with you and going down the river. So it's a very immersive experience. And so we're in everything and kind of just like weaving with you versus just like a little bite thing. So you can make so much change in 3 months because it's like, it's a constant weaving. We're holding the energy. And so there's like all these different layers to it.
And we're also helping observe and inform as you're shifting and changing. Like, so, or if you're confused about what you're orienting to, like we're there too for that. You have to, we have to get you back on here. So it's just, you don't have a lot of opportunity to do this. So when you're with us, you're doing this.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You're not doing this.
Yeah. And I'll say, I mean, the work that you do is profound.
Yeah.
It is absolutely profound. And to me, it's priceless. So, I want to ask you, besides transformation, what is your most favorite thing about what you do?
For me, I think I live in a very magical world, and I have experienced magic for myself, but also with people. I mean, I'm experiencing the things that nobody thinks can happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
I can't get over that. I mean, even I've been doing this 25 years, and when somebody has something that's happened, like your story, I'm like, that is like magical to me. Like, it's just, and it happens so quickly. Like, that always gets me. I'm like, oh my God. Like, it's
like
so,
very satisfying.
What I do is so awesome. Yeah, I love it.
Like,
I so love it.
Magic exists, people. It does. Like, you can, you can have what you want. You can be who you want. You can experience the life you want.
I think that's like after our first session together, I was like, I could do anything. You know, it was just so like,
you're
all the doors
You're
opened.
better than me. I just bawled like a baby.
Did you?
First session.
Yeah, oh my goodness, that's so funny.
Because that's what I guess I needed.
Yeah, it's just profound. I mean, and you've helped my daughter like so much. You know, she's like just ready for this breakthrough, and that's just so amazing.
Yeah.
I talked to her last night, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so ready." I'm like, "We love Nikki," you know.
Yeah.
So very cool. And then, go ahead.
No, I was thinking that we get that reflection a lot. I feel like Indigo and I do.
Yeah.
And it's like really satisfying.
Yeah.
I mean, we are also always in amazement of that, but also each other. And we're like, wow, we can do this. Like,
what a great partnership.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I think this is what my soul came to do in this lifetime. So I'm walking my dharmic path. And so it's like a regenerative loop. It's the infinity symbol. Like when I'm coaching, like I'm also receiving. And so it's just the truest alignment yeah, like there's nothing, like I don't need to change things in my life because I'm aligned to that. So like, therefore I'm just walking that path, which
So
is
neat.
like, feels like a different type of life.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
It's a
profound.
beautiful
I
life.
love that.
All right. That was amazing, you guys.
Yeah. Anything else that you want to share that
Anything that we missed?
didn't touch, or
Just grateful to be.
Yeah.
trust me, the pleasure is all ours. We're so excited to have you on here. I mean, this is a win-win for everybody listening and us. So thank you so much for being on here. And we would love for you to like, subscribe, and share. Reach out, give us your questions. If there's a topic that you want to hear about or know about, let us know what it is. We'd love to have it on a future show.
Yeah, honestly, this is a great one to share. Share this one.
Share them all.
Yeah. But this is
Yeah.
like, people need to hear this. So, yeah, absolutely.
Profound.
All right.
We want to make a quick but important disclosure. The information and advice shared in this podcast are intended to provide general knowledge and understanding about wellness and health-related subjects. They are not intended to replace professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or qualified health provider with any questions that you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment, and before undertaking a new health regimen. Remember, your health is your responsibility, and it's always best to consult with a healthcare professional.